Hello YouTube, how is everybody doing this morning? Got my coffee, powered by bacon. So I thought I would just share a little video about the previous video, more of a Q&A about questions you guys may have about drilling the chamber. I would have probably thrown this in the last video, but it was going kind of long, so I wanted that to be more about the process and this more about any questions that might come up. So I wrote down a few that you may have. I thought maybe some I would have if I was watching it. And the first question I got is, will it work on bigger cobs and do I need bigger bits? And the answer is yes, it'll work on bigger cobs, and no, you do not need bigger bits. You can use the exact same bits from what I found, from all the way from like a Morgan nose warmer all the way up, even though that would be kind of a short cob to do it on, but you still could do it on it, all the way up to a Country Gentleman, actually. And you do not need to change your bits out. And reason being, with the way the hole is tapered, which I could not think, for the life of me, I could not think of the right terminology in that video, because you got the camera up and your hands are down here and you're trying to do stuff and you got a lot going on. So, but anyways, and to show you, I have a Country Gentleman here, the bottom of one, which I had to take apart for a cob foolery contest, so I was left with this weird bottom because I needed the bigger center spot. But if you look at it, you'll notice that, use our handy dandy universal pointer, that's not very big. It tapers down very small, just the same as it does on the other cobs. I mean, it's enough that maybe it's the radius of my ring finger, and I have very small hands. Keep your jokes to yourself. But yeah, it's not very big. So you may think it's bigger on the bigger cobs, but actually it tapers down to a very small hole. I mean, that's, even if we take a tamper, and hopefully I can get this on the camera, if you take the tamper and put that in there, that's, it's bigger than the bottom of a check tool, but not much. So yes, it will work on there. And then the next question is, I've done it all the way up to, like, even on the Mark Twains. Do I need to drill out the plug on the bigger cobs, or the ones that do have the wood plug? And the real answer is, I don't know. I've always drilled them out because even when you can see with this part cut off, even with the hardwood plug, it's not a big plug. Maybe 1/4 inch. So I don't know if that would give you enough to actually get the bowl shape. It more than likely would, but I don't know how close you'd be getting to the bottom if you did it that way. So, but the other thing I've noticed on a lot of plug cobs, they're always off, and I don't know if that's to keep it more from burning out on the area where that shank ends. So it might look a little goofy, but I would still drill out the wood plug that's OEM stock from Missouri Meerschaum. Does it make the smoking chamber bigger or smaller? Actually, I would say it makes it a little bit bigger, because you can see how small it is on the bottom. I think that's going to help with maybe preventing some of the burnout. But it actually increases the bottom of the bowl a little bit, and then with where it's rounded out in the bottom, it actually makes it just a little bit bigger. So that would be answer that question. Draft hole location. I've started to play around with that. Even after the video, I did some different locations, and this one I did drill, locate it just above center a little bit, and that might be the way to go doing this. Because it'll actually give you a little bit more wood when you drill out that hole. So I would say, if I was going to do it, maybe just a tick above center of your hole here for the shank. Otherwise, in the middle works pretty good too. I wouldn't go anywhere lower or too much higher, because if you go too high or too low, it's going to make passing a pipe cleaner through there maybe a little bit difficult. Do you need to drill the draft hole if you're leaving the shank on? Yes and no. You may have to, you may not have to. I would still pass that the 7/32 drill bit through here, just to make sure you get through to that plug for your hole. And I would, even with the dowel, I would just put it through and just maybe give it just a little bit of a touch so you can kind of see where you are with when you're drilling out that wood plug when you're making your chamber. So yeah, I would actually, if I was leaving the shank on, I'd still kind of come through and just give it a little bit of a touch, not a whole lot, just so when you're coming down with your chamber bit, you can actually see if you are in the right spot, just in case it would cover up that and you're just kind of guessing then. How does it change how the pipe smokes? I'm not sure how much it changes. Trying to be subjective on that question, since I obviously think it smokes better, but then again, I can't be 100% subjective on that. I think it does smoke better. It's a lot easier to clean, and I will say that I get a lot less of that wood taste when you first start. But I don't notice the wood taste a whole lot even with these shanks, so your individual results might vary a little bit. But that's just a few little questions that I could maybe think of somebody would ask. So hopefully, if you had any, that'll address that. So we're gonna go for a ride, and Badger Buyers, wrap it up.